Buckeye, a read with Jenna pick, a novel by Patrick Ryan. Print length, 451 pages. Publication date, September 2nd, 2025. One town, two families. A secret that changes everything. In Bonamy, Ohio, a stolen moment of passion, sparked in the exuberant aftermath of the Allied victory in Europe, binds Cal Jenkins, a man wounded not in war but by his inability to serve in it, to Margaret Salt, a woman trying to obscure her past. Cal's wife, Becky, has a spiritual gift. She is a seer who can conjure the dead, helping families connect with those they've lost. Margaret's husband, Felix, is serving on a Navy cargo ship, out of harm's way, until a telegram suggests that the unthinkable might have happened. Later, as the country reconstructs in the post-war boom, a secret grows in Bonamy, but nothing stays buried forever in a small town. Against the backdrop of some of the most transformative decades in modern America, the consequences of that long-ago encounter ripple through the next generation of both families, compelling them to re-examine who they thought they were and what the future might hold. Sweeping yet intimate, rich with piercing observation and the warmth that comes from profound understanding of the human spirit, Buckeye captures the universal longing for love and for goodness. Replaceable You, Adventures in Human Anatomy by Mary Roach. Publication date, September 16th. From the New York Times best-selling author of Stiff and Fuzz, a rollicking exploration of the quest to recreate the impossible complexities of human anatomy. The body is the most complex machine in the world, and the only one for which you cannot get a replacement part from the manufacturer. For centuries, medicine has reached for what's available, sculpting noses from brass, borrowing skin from frogs and hearts from pigs, crafting eye parts from jet canopies and breasts from petroleum byproducts. Today we're attempting to grow body parts from scratch using stem cells and 3D printers. How are we doing? Are we there yet? In Replaceable You, Mary Roach explores the remarkable advances and difficult questions prompted by the human body's failings. When and how does a person decide they'd be better off with a prosthetic than their existing limb? Can a donated heart be made to beat forever? Can an intestine provide a workable substitute for a vagina? Roach dives in with her characteristic verve and infectious wit. Her travels take her to the OR at a legendary burn unit in Boston, a super clean xeno pigsty in China, and a stem cell hair nursery in the San Diego Tech Hub. She talks with researchers and surgeons, amputees and ostomates, printers of kidneys and designers of wearable organs. She spends time in a working iron lung from the 1950s, stays up all night with recovery techs as they disassemble and reassemble a tissue donor, and travels across Mongolia with the cataract surgeons of Orbis International. Irrepressible and accessible, Replaceable You immerses readers in the wondrous, improbable, and surreal quest to build a new you. To the Moon and Back, a novel by Eliana Ramage. Print length, 448 pages. Publication date, September 2nd, 2025. In this dazzlingly powerful story of family, ambition, and belonging, one young woman's obsessive quest to become the first Cherokee astronaut irrevocably alters the fates of the people she loves most. My mother took my sister and me, and she drove through the night to a place she felt a claim to, a place on Earth she thought we might be safe. I stopped asking questions. I picked little glass pieces from my sister's hair. I watched the moon. Steph Harper is on the run. When she was 5, her mother fled an abusive husband with Steph and her younger sister in tow to Cherokee Nation, where she hoped they might finally belong. In response, Steph sets her sights as far away from Oklahoma as she can get, vowing that she will let nothing get in the way of pursuing the rigorous physical and academic training she knows she will need to be accepted by NASA and, ultimately, to go to the moon. Spanning 3 decades and several continents, To the Moon and Back encompasses Steph's turbulent journey, along with the multifaceted and intertwined lives of the 3 women closest to her, her sister Kayla, an artist who goes on to become an Indigenous social media influencer, and whose determination to appear good takes her life to unexpected places, Steph's college girlfriend Della Owens, who strives to reclaim her identity as an adult after being removed from her Cherokee family through a challenge to the Indian Child Welfare Act, and Hannah, Steph and Kayla's mother, who has held up her family's tribal history as a beacon of inspiration to her children, all the while keeping her own past a secret. In Steph's certainty that only her ambition can save her, she will stretch her bonds with each of these women to the point of breaking, at once betraying their love and generosity, and forcing them to reconsider their own deepest desires in her shadow. Told through an intricately woven tapestry of narrative, To the Moon and Back is an astounding and expansive novel of mothers and daughters, love and sacrifice, alienation and heartbreak, terror and wonder. At its core, it is the story of the extraordinary lengths to which one woman will go to find space for herself. All the Way to the River, Love, Loss, and Liberation by Elizabeth Gilbert. Publication date, September 9, 2025. 20 years ago, Elizabeth Gilbert's Eat, Pray, Love inspired millions of readers to embark upon their own journeys of self-discovery. A decade later, Big Magic empowered countless others to live their most creative lives. Now comes another landmark book about love and loss, addiction and recovery, grief and liberation. In 2000, a friend sent Liz to see a new hairdresser named Rhea Elias. An intense and unlikely curiosity sparked between these two apparent opposites. Rhea, an East Village badass who lived boldly on her own terms, but feared she was a failed artist. Liz, a married people-pleaser with a surprisingly unfettered sense of creativity. Over the years, they became friends, then best friends, then inseparable. When tragedy entered their lives, the truth was finally laid bare. The two were in love, unacknowledged. They were also a pair of addicts, on a collision course toward catastrophe. What if the love of your life and the person you most trusted in the world became a danger to your sanity and well-being? What if the dear friend who taught you so much about your self-destructive tendencies became the unstable partner with whom you disastrously reenacted every one of them? And what if your most devastating heartbreak opened a pathway to your greatest awakening? All the Way to the River is for everyone who has ever been captive to love, or to any other passion, substance, or craving, and who yearns, at long last, for peace and freedom. The Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny, a novel by Kiran Desai. Print length, 645 pages. Publication date, September 23, 2025. One of the most anticipated books of the fall. The New York Times, Oprah Daily, Time, the Boston Globe, the Washington Post, the Associated Press, Book Riot, Publishers Weekly. When Sonia and Sunny first glimpse each other on an overnight train, they are immediately captivated yet also embarrassed by the fact that their grandparents had once tried to matchmake them, a clumsy meddling that served only to drive Sonia and Sunny apart. Sonia, an aspiring novelist who recently completed her studies in the snowy mountains of Vermont, has returned to her family in India. She fears that she is haunted by a dark spell cast by an artist to whom she had once turned for intimacy and inspiration. Sunny, a struggling journalist resettled in New York City, is attempting to flee his imperious mother and the violence of his warring clan. Uncertain of their future, Sonia and Sunny embark on a search for happiness together as they confront the many alienations of our modern world. The Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny is the sweeping tale of two young people navigating the many forces that shape their lives: country, class, race, history, and the complicated bonds that link one generation to the next. A love story, a family saga, and a rich novel of ideas, it is the most ambitious and accomplished work yet by one of our greatest novelists. Mercy, a novel by Joan Silber. Print length, 256 pages. Publication date, September 2nd, 2025. A rich and nuanced story beginning with a moment of fear and abandonment that will reverberate across decades and change the course of many lives, by a beloved PN/Faulkner and National Book Critics Circle Award winning author. In the gritty East Village of 1970s New York, Ivan and his best friend, Eddie, a popular local bartender, are dabbling in drugs following a short tour of Europe. One night, as Ivan and Eddie experiment with heroin, things go horribly wrong. In a panic, Ivan rushes Eddie to a crowded local ER and, believing his friend is about to die, makes the awful choice to leave him there. This one act of abandonment haunts Ivan his entire life. He keeps this secret from his friends and later his family, forever searching for mercy from remorse that never dies. Ivan's decision also ripples across time through an extended community, affecting a host of other people unknowingly connected to that night. Following a bold cast of characters across decades and set against the changing social and sexual mores from the 1970s onward, Mercy is Silber's most ambitious and expansive novel yet, proving once again how we are all connected in mysterious and often unknown ways. The Book of Guilt by Chidgey. Print length, 398 pages. Publication date, September 16, 2025. In an alternate world where nobody won World War II, 3 brothers are the only boys left in an orphanage whose dark secret is the reason for their existence and the key to their survival, from the acclaimed author of Pet. After a very different outcome to World War II than the one history recorded, 1979 England is a country ruled by a government whose aims have sinister underpinnings and alliances. In the Hampshire countryside, 13-year-old triplets Vincent, Lawrence, and William are the last remaining residents at the Captain Scott Home for Boys, where every day they must take medicine to protect themselves from a mysterious illness to which many of their friends have succumbed. The lucky ones who recover are allowed to move to Margate, a seaside resort of mythical proportions. In nearby Exeter, 13-year-old Nancy lives a secluded life with her parents, who dote on her but never let her leave the house. As the triplets' lives begin to intersect with Nancy's, bringing to light a horrifying truth about their origins and their likely fate, the children must unite to escape and survive. Katabasis, a fantastical descent into hell, rivalry, and redemption in the pursuit of academic glory from author of Yellowface by R. F. Kuang. Print length, 567 pages. Publication date, August 26, 2025. The story of a hero's descent to the underworld. Alice Law has only ever had one goal: to become one of the brightest minds in the field of magic. She has sacrificed everything to make that a reality: her pride, her health, her love life, and most definitely her sanity. All to work with Professor Jacob Grimes at Cambridge, the greatest magician in the world. That is, until he dies in a magical accident that could possibly be her fault. Grimes is now in hell and she's going in after him, because his recommendation could hold her very future in his now incorporeal hands, and even death is not going to stop the pursuit of her dreams. Nor will the fact that her rival, Peter Murdoch, has come to the very same conclusion. With nothing but the tales of Orpheus and Dante to guide them, enough chalk to draw the pentagrams necessary for their spells, and the burning desire to make all the academic trauma mean anything, they set off across hell to save a man they don't even like. But hell is not like the storybooks say. Magic isn't always the answer, and there's something in Alice and Peter's past that could forge them into the perfect allies, or lead to their doom. Awake, a memoir by Jenna Hatmaker. Print length, 320 pages. Publication date, September 23, 2025. From Jenna Hatmaker, beloved New York Times best-selling author and host of the For the Love podcast, a brutally honest, funny, and revealing memoir about the traumatic end of her 26-year-long marriage and the beginning of a different kind of love story. At 2:30 a.m. on July 11, 2020, Jen Hatmaker woke up to her husband of 26 years whispering in his phone to another woman from their bed. It was the end of life as she knew it. In the months that followed, she went from being a shiny, funny, popular leader to a divorced wreck on antidepressants and anti-anxiety meds, parenting 5 kids alone with no clue about her own bank accounts. Having led millions of women for over a decade, urging them to embrace authenticity, find radical agency, and create healthy relationships, this seemed nothing less than total failure. In Awake, Jen shares for the first time what happened when she found herself completely lost at sea and how she made it to shore. In candid, surprisingly funny vignettes spanning 40 years of girlhood, marriage, and parenting, Jen lays bare the disorienting upheaval of midlife, the implosion of a marriage, the unraveling of religious and cultural systems, and the grief that accompanies change you didn't ask for. And, drawing on all her resources from without and from within, Jen dares to question the systems beneath the whole house of cards, and to reckon with the myths, half-truths, and lies that brought her to this point. More than one woman's story, Awake is a critical analysis of the story given to all of us, the story of gender limitations, religious subservience, body shame, self-erasure. With refreshing candor, Jen explores a midlife renaissance, grieving what's lost, cherishing possibility, and entering the second half of life wide awake. Amity, a novel by Nathan Harris. Print length, 316 pages. Publication date, September 2nd, 2025. From the New York Times best-selling author of The Sweetness of Water comes a gripping story about a brother and sister, emancipated from slavery, but still searching for true freedom, and their odyssey across the deserts of Mexico to escape a former master still intent on their bondage. New Orleans, 1866. The Civil War might be over, but formerly enslaved Coleman and June have yet to find the freedom they've been promised. 2 years ago, the siblings were separated when their old master, Mr. Harper, took June away to Mexico, where he hoped to escape the new reality of the post-bellum South. Coleman stayed behind in Louisiana to serve the Harper family, clinging to the hope that one day June would return. When an unexpected letter from Mr. Harper arrives, summoning Coleman to Mexico, Coleman thinks that finally his prayers have been answered. What Coleman cannot know is the tangled truth of June's tribulations under Mr. Harper out on the frontier. And when disaster strikes Coleman's journey, he is forced on the run with Mr. Harper's daughter, Florence. Together, they venture into the Mexican desert to find June, all the while evading 2 crooked brothers who will stop at nothing to capture Coleman and Florence and collect the money they're owed. As Coleman and June separately navigate a perilous, parched landscape, the siblings learn quickly that freedom isn't always given. Sometimes it must be taken by force. As in his New York Times best-selling debut, The Sweetness of Water, Nathan Harris delves into the critical years of the Civil War's aftermath to deliver an intimate and epic tale of what freedom means in a society still determined to return its black citizens to bondage. Populated with unforgettable characters, Amity is a vital addition to the literature of emancipation.